Before you continue with your day, pause for a moment, because what you are about to hear has quietly shaken the polished world of celebrity fame and perfect public images. Imagine walking into a room expecting nothing more than a brief conversation, only to discover that two of the most recognizable stars in the drama industry are locked in a tense dispute over a hidden contract that was never meant to be seen. This is the moment when everything changed. The moment when Tan Songyun reportedly walked into a private meeting and unexpectedly witnessed a heated confrontation between Wang and Bai. What she saw inside that room is now being whispered about across studios, agencies, and production offices. Stay with this story until the end, because the final moments reveal a conversation so intense that even the people involved may never forget what happened next. And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories behind the glamorous world of television and film, make sure you stay connected, because this story opens a door into a side of the entertainment industry that fans rarely see. The day began like any other production day inside one of the city's most respected studio complexes. Assistants hurried through long hallways carrying scripts and schedules while stylists prepared actors for upcoming shoots. Producers discussed filming timelines inside conference rooms filled with storyboards and lighting diagrams. Outside one of those rooms, the atmosphere seemed calm. Inside, however, a conversation was already unfolding that would soon send quiet waves through the industry. Wang sat at the end of a polished conference table. His usual confident energy was replaced by a serious focus as he studied a thick folder placed in front of him. Across from him sat Bai. Her posture was composed yet firm as she flipped through several pages of legal documents. Beside her stood an agency representative who occasionally whispered updates while pointing at certain clauses printed across the pages. The contract lying on the table had been drafted months earlier during negotiations for a large drama project. At the time, it seemed like a routine agreement between actors, agencies, and producers. But hidden within the language of that contract were several restrictive terms that neither side fully agreed on. And now those terms were at the center of a growing dispute. The conversation began quietly. Bai placed one finger on a paragraph within the document. "This clause changes the original agreement," she said calmly. Wang leaned forward slightly. "It was revised by the agency during the final draft," he replied. The representative beside Bai shook his head. "Our understanding was different," he said. For several minutes the discussion remained professional, though increasingly tense. Each side pointed to specific sections of the contract, highlighting details that had been overlooked during earlier negotiations. Then the door opened. Tan Songyun stepped inside. She had been scheduled to meet a producer for a separate project discussion and had been directed toward the conference room by a studio assistant. The moment she entered the room, she sensed the atmosphere immediately. 3 people turned toward her. Stacks of documents lay across the table, and the serious expressions on everyone's faces made it clear she had stepped into the middle of something far more complicated than a routine meeting. Tan Songyun paused politely near the door. "I can come back later," she said gently. But for a moment nobody moved. Wang leaned back in his chair, while Bai closed the folder in front of her. "It is all right," Bai said after a brief silence. "We are just finishing a discussion." Tan Songyun nodded and stepped slightly further inside, unsure whether she should remain or leave. What followed was a conversation that quickly shifted from quiet disagreement into something much more intense. The agency representative opened another document and placed it on the table. "This clause prevents outside collaborations during the entire production cycle," he explained. Wang frowned slightly. "That was never the intention of the original agreement." Bai looked directly at him. "Then why was it included?" she asked. The room fell silent. Outside the conference room, hallway assistants continued walking past, unaware of the dramatic exchange unfolding only a few meters away. Inside, however, the tension had become impossible to ignore. Tan Songyun remained near the side of the room, watching carefully as both actors examined the contract again. Wang spoke first. "If this clause remains, it limits my ability to accept other projects during filming," he said. Bai replied calmly but firmly. "And if it remains as written, it also affects my schedule." The representative beside her nodded in agreement. "This is why we requested clarification weeks ago," he said. Another silence followed. Paper shifted slightly on the table as Dylan Wang turned another page. From the doorway, Tan Songyun could feel the weight of the situation. What she had walked into was clearly more than a simple scheduling issue. The contract language had created a misunderstanding that now threatened to disrupt a major production. Finally, Dylan Wang looked up. "This needs to be resolved before filming continues," he said. Bai Lu nodded slowly. "Agreed." For several minutes, the group reviewed additional sections of the agreement discussing possible adjustments and alternative interpretations of the disputed clause. Then another surprising moment occurred. The agency representative placed a smaller document on top of the folder. "This is the amendment proposal," he said. Both actors leaned forward. Tan Songyun watched as they read through the pages carefully. The amendment would remove the restrictive language, but introduce new conditions related to promotional appearances and scheduling coordination. Dylan Wang read the final paragraph quietly before speaking. "This version makes more sense." Bai Lu looked up from the page. "It does, but it should have been presented earlier," she replied. Despite the tension, a sense of progress began filling the room. The earlier disagreement slowly shifted toward negotiation and compromise. From her place near the wall, Tan Songyun finally spoke again. "It sounds like you're close to resolving it," she said gently. Both actors glanced toward her, and for the first time since she entered the room, the atmosphere softened slightly. Bai Lu closed the folder. "We are trying," she replied. Dylan Wang gave a small nod. "Contracts in this industry can become complicated very quickly," he said. Outside the window, evening light began spreading across the skyline as the studio complex prepared to close for the day. Inside the conference room, the conversation continued for nearly another hour as adjustments were discussed and revisions suggested. Eventually, the documents were gathered into neat stacks once again. The intense confrontation that had filled the room earlier had transformed into a quieter discussion about solutions and future plans. Tan Songyun finally stepped toward the door. "I will leave you to finish the meeting," she said with a polite smile. As she walked back into the hallway, she could not help reflecting on what she had just witnessed. The entertainment world often appeared glamorous from the outside. Fans saw red carpets, interviews, and carefully crafted images of harmony between co-stars. But behind closed doors, the reality was far more complex. Negotiations, contracts, and decisions that could shape entire careers. Inside the room, Dylan Wang and Bai Lu continued their discussion, now focused on finalizing a version of the agreement that would allow production to move forward without further complications. By the time the meeting ended, the atmosphere had changed completely from the tense moment Tan Songyun had first witnessed. The dispute had not destroyed their professional relationship. Instead, it had revealed something rarely seen by the public: the real work that happens behind the scenes to keep massive productions moving forward. And for those who believe the entertainment industry is only about fame and glamour, this moment served as a powerful reminder that every successful project also depends on careful negotiations, trust, and the ability to resolve conflicts when they arise. Because sometimes the most dramatic scenes in the drama industry do not happen in front of the cameras. They happen quietly inside conference rooms where the future of entire productions is decided one conversation at a time.